A new bill passed in Parliament is banning toxicity testing on animals. The tests subject animals, including cats, dogs, mice, rabbits, to high doses of chemicals, often at levels higher than humans would be exposed to. This is to check for side effects. For more on what this change means, we're joined from Ottawa by Kaitlyn Mitchell, Director of Legal Advocacy at Animal Justice. Kaitlyn worked extensively on the bill. Good morning, Kaitlyn.
Hi.
Firstly, more than 40 countries already have banned forms of animal testing, including the US, the EU, and Britain. Why did it take so long for Canada to do the same?
That's a really good question, and we're definitely in a position of playing catch-up here. So as you said, more than 40 countries have already banned some forms of testing, like cosmetic testing in particular, but we've also seen other countries move on toxicity testing. This is actually the most harmful use of animals in Canadian science. So we're so pleased that Canada has finally committed to phasing this out and eventually banning it altogether. And that brings us in line with places like the US and the EU, which have already created these strong legal tools to end toxicity testing on animals.
Animal Justice worked extensively on this legislation. What major changes will it bring?
Well, it's really exciting. As you say, it's going to bring a number of changes. So one really exciting piece for me is that the Act will now require the ministers of health and the Minister of the Environment, to create a plan in the next 2 years to incorporate non-animal methods. These non-animal methods are often more cost-effective, they're quicker, and they're actually more predictive of human health outcomes and environmental outcomes. So this plan is really exciting, and they will have to annually report on progress made under the plan. So there will be a way for the public to keep track of what's going on and to really hold the government to account and make sure that we stay on track to get rid of these cruel tests altogether as soon as possible.
Products still have to be tested, however, before going to market. And according to the Animal Legal Defense Fund, 92% of drugs tested on animals fail on humans. So then what are some alternative forms of testing that you recommend companies can use?
Well, it's a really exciting field, and we're seeing, rapid developments in this area all the time, from things like computer modeling to cell and tissue tests using human tissues. So again, we're really being able to predict human health outcomes, and even something called an organ on a chip, which is just so exciting that you can essentially create organs on tiny computer chips and introduce the chemical to that organ and see how it will ultimately affect humans. So, this is an area of emerging science, and we have some of that happening here in Canada at the University of Windsor, where we have the Canadian Centre for Alternatives to Animal Methods. So, a really exciting area, and I really hope to see more public and private investment as the years go on to make sure we really do incorporate those non-animal methods.
Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about potentially another incoming bill that would outright ban all testing cosmetics on animals. Where does that stand?
Yeah, that's another really exciting step, and actually we're hoping to see that introduced next week through the budget bill. So the timing's unclear, but hopefully next week that will also pass into law, and now we will have not only this commitment to phase out toxicity testing on animals, but also a ban on cosmetic testing too. So really an exciting time here in Canada for animals use in science.
Kaitlyn, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.